Licata here. Tiki Barber off today, celebrating his anniversary. Happy anniversary to him and his wife. The Yankees will be just fine. I stand by what I've said here. Now, look, I understand maybe I'm brainwashed because I watched the Yankees in the 90s and they never lost, ever. No matter what happened, it felt like they never lost a game, ever. And here we are watching this Yankee team not hit. I mean, it's unbelievable. On a night where everybody in Major League Baseball scored 100 runs, the Yankees get 2 hits. I mean, how's that possible? The New York, well, I'll tell you how it's possible. John Carl Stanton can't hit. Anthony Rizzo can't hit. DJ LeMahieu can't hit. Peraza, all of a sudden, after having a day where he gets on base, 5 times or whatever the other night, 1 base hit, walked 4 times, he can't hit last night. Ohtani does it again. Yankees lose another series at the very least. They'll try to avoid getting swept, but they still ultimately will be fine. Now, they're putting too much pressure on themselves. They've been a bit of a mess. Nobody's going to debate that. However, the expectations, because they're the New York Yankees, are through the roof, as they should be. And to see the Yankees looking like a regular team is what is alarming for Yankee fans. They're still over 500. They're still right in the thick of things in the wild card. All they have to do, to me, the season ends when the goals that you had going in are altered and no longer attainable. Like for the Mets, and we'll get to them a little bit later on in the show, and even when they do win, they still drive you nuts. But the Mets cannot win the World Series this year. That was the expectation going in. It's not happening. The Yankees, I still believe, can win the World Series. Now, come back to me in 2 weeks where after the deadline, we'll see what type of moves Brian Cashman has made to improve this ball club. Come back to me when Aaron Judge gets healthy. He's getting closer. Not that he's going to be the savior alone, because he's not. But they look a lot different with Aaron Judge and a lot of, remember when you guys say, hey, Sal, have you watched this team? Oh, I don't know what games you're watching, Met boy. Here's what I'm watching. I'm watching the Yankees, but with the thought of what I saw them do against the Dodgers when Aaron Judge got hurt in that series. What I saw them do against the Rays in series prior to that. What they've done, even when they've been down against the Mariners and against the Rangers. Yeah, I've watched this team. They don't look very good, but yet they're still over 500. They're still right in the thick of things, and all the goals that they had to start the season are still there in front of them. Even the division. 9 games back. It's only 9 games because of the way that the Orioles and Rays have played. So it can't be, they're in the best division, so they suck. No, it's that they're, a last place team, and they do own last place by themselves in the American League East. Last place Yankees. Boy, that has an odd ring to it, doesn't it? Sounds nice for some, but to Yankee fans, it's awful. But the reality is they're not a regular last place team. They're the last place team right now by a game in a loaded division. And even within that loaded division, 9 games is not insurmountable, especially when you're talking about a team that is nowhere near whole yet. Judge will be back. He's starting to run. He's starting to take batting practice. He is on his way back. They look totally different with Aaron Judge. Cashman said, was it earlier this week or last week? I think it was earlier this week already. He said they're going to go out there and look to upgrade in left field, look to upgrade at catcher, look to get some bullpen out. Brian Cashman, the comparison that I would draw would be the 2021 season, which was the worst regular season that I remember watching the Yankees in recent history. Like expectations compared to the results. Look, 2016 wasn't very good. They decided to sell off. I understand that. There were some down years. Maybe a handful. Maybe not even a handful. A few over the course of the last, 30 years. But in 2021, it was frustrating because you never got back to where you were in 2017, Game 7 ALCS. 2018 first round and out. 2019 Game 6 ALCS, still losing a heartbreaking series to those same old Astros. 2020, very disappointing, getting ousted by the Rays. 2021, the difference was the regular season was the problem. Usually that's not the issue. The regular season was the problem for the Yankees that year. That was the year that I was saying, probably like everybody else, Cashman needs to go, change of scenery, change of voice, whatever, change of vision in the organization. Cashman, Boone, bye-bye. Instead, in what we all called, oh, my God, what an awful regular season. This team is terrible. Instead, Brian Cashman goes out there ahead of the trade deadline and brings in Rizzo and Gallo, amongst others. And the Yankees won 92 games, and oh, what an awful season. I can't take Yankee baseball anymore. How dare they only win 92 games? Even in an awful season, they win 92 games and make the playoffs. Now, they were out in the first round, in the wild card game by the Red Sox, but still. This year is similar, but different. It's similar in that they're struggling in the regular season, which is not usually the case. Last year we saw them run away with things in the first half, and even though they struggled a little bit in the second half of the season, the division was never really in trouble. Like, they had a good grasp, a good grip on the hold of that division last year, even with the Blue Jays or Rays, whatever, coming down the stretch and maybe trying to make it a little bit close, but they never did. That was normal Yankee regular season. And then the postseason, it was also normal Yankee postseason, where the bats, what they did in the regular season, didn't do what they did in the postseason. So here we are this year, and it's been a little up, a little bit of down, very frustrating for sure, doing things differently where it hasn't been the offense, obviously, that's carried them in the regular season, but the pitching, the bullpen in particular, which cost them over the weekend, which cost them on Monday night. The bullpen, if it's not going to do its part with the offense doing nothing, then the Yankees are going to be in trouble, which is what you've seen here, losing these series, whether it's the Cardinals, the Rockies, and now the Angels here, losing some ugly games to some less than teams. But Brian Cashman will add to this team. Aaron Judge will come back, and the Yankees will look different sooner than later. The Yankees will be fine. They don't have to dig out of a hole where they're 6 games under 500. They're over 500. They're only 9 games out of the division, 2.5 games in the wild card. Everything is still right there. And the Yankee team that we watched lose again last night will be a different team. I guarantee it in a couple of weeks. Judge, new left fielder, maybe new catcher, maybe some new bullpen arms. They will look different. And when they get healthy and when they clean up some of the mess, they will look like the Yankees again. And you will feel differently about this ball club. It's happening. And maybe this will be the year because nobody expects it because everybody's writing them off, frustrated beyond belief with this team, as opposed to last year where they ran away with the division. People were talking 98 Yankees. This is our year, blah, 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 blah. And then they don't get it done in the postseason again. You watch. This will be the year. Maybe they don't win the division. Maybe they sneak in as the final wild card team. But then the pitching will carry them in the postseason. And maybe there will be some timely hitting for a change. But to call this Yankee team, the idea that now, the Yankees should be sellers or the Yankees aren't going to get in the postseason like that's in trouble. Come on. Not happening. The New York Yankees, as bad as it looks right now, it's not going to be this way after the trade deadline. They will be a different team. They will be a better team, a healthier team, and they will make a run. I'd still, right now, even looking at the standings, watching this team in last place, still put the Yankees up against anybody else in the American League. Matt is calling from New City. Hi, Matt.
Hey, what's up, Sal? I wish I had your optimism, but I just do not see it. And the reason being is that they have way too many holes to fill. It's not like you look at this team and go, yeah, we're in every game. It's just we need a closer. We just, every time that third starter goes out, we lose. LeMahieu, Rizzo, it was Donaldson before. They look washed up. Volpe doesn't really look like a major leaguer. I don't see how you could overhaul a team that much with a thin farm system and make that big of a turnaround. So what I would do if I was the Yankees is I wouldn't do any drastic moves. I would maybe take on some salary if that's how you're going to get players, but I would not totally wipe out my farm system because I just don't see it.
Well, they're not going to wipe out their farm system, and I'm not saying I would do that either. But they can take on, it'd be nice, Matt, and thank you for the call. It'd be nice to see the Yankees operate like the Yankees used to. Hey, we want this bullpen arm, we want this catcher, we want this outfielder, whatever. We want this left fielder. let's take on a bad salary to make some of those things happen. Obviously, they're going to have to give up some prospects in one deal, you would think, if they're going to try to make 3 different trades. But I don't think it's as bad as it seems right now. Judge comes back. Maybe that helps alleviate some of the pressure that for some reason, their biggest issue right now is not Aaron Judge being out. It's that Giancarlo Stanton and Anthony Rizzo forgot how to play baseball. What's wrong with these two guys? They should have more than enough. People want to talk about, Cashman stinks and the construction of the team. And I'm not saying every move he's made has been the right one because it hasn't. They've made some bad moves. But you mean to tell me that you would bet that Stanton, Rizzo, and LeMahieu, that trio, would do nothing this year? Especially after Rizzo's start. We're talking about Rizzo being a revelation with the shifts being banned and all that stuff. And Rizzo all of a sudden can't hit. Forget about even the batting average. He can't hit a home run. That's the Yankees' issue. But Judge coming back will help that. Plus, adding a real left fielder and maybe upgrading a catcher will also help the lineup. They still have more than enough there. And even them, at their worst right now, is still better than most. It's all right there in front of them. It doesn't seem likely. I'm not a fool. I'm watching the games. I watch the team. I know that they stink right now. It doesn't seem likely, but I'm looking ahead to what will be as opposed to what is. Not that long ago that this Yankee, you guys make it like, they can't beat the Orioles. The Orioles are so much better. This same Yankees team, no Judge, same Yankees team, won the first 2 games of that 4-game series. And they did so in convincing fashion to where Yankee fans started to feel really good about this team again, thinking that maybe they're going to win 3 out of 4, or dare I say, sweep the Orioles. Obviously, it didn't happen like that. But this is still the same team. This is still the same team that took 2 out of 3 from the Mariners, took 2 out of 3 from the Rangers. You knew it was a matter of time before their bullpen started to fold a little bit because of the use or overuse of the bullpen. Boone can't wait to get into that bullpen. Going to the well way too many times. They're not going to be perfect. Right now, they've hit a little bit of a rut, which means Brian Cashman wants to add at least another arm in there. But they will be fine. This is not panic time for the New York Yankees. Sell, 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 fire, fire, fire. No. Keith is calling from Howell. Keith?
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
How are you, Keith?
I'm good. I share the optimism, but the one point I do have to ask is that you're talking about how they're going to be fine, If the run was going to be made, don't you think it would have been made a little more consistently before? You're talking about Judge and making all these upgrades. My biggest thing is what happened to the 1 through 5 starters? Why are we using bullpen games? Why don't we have 5 established starters anymore? Why have they fallen away from that?
Well, what bullpen games are you talking about?
There was a bullpen game. I think it was in St. Louis. I think they had a bullpen game. And so was it in St. Louis maybe a week or 10 days ago?
I mean, right now the Yankees starting rotation has been pretty good, even with Severino being a problem, and he looked better last time on Monday.
But you're talking about teams. You're waiting for Judge to get back. You're waiting for maybe an upgrade or 2, which may or may not come. You don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. But you're waiting for this emotional uplift. If anywhere, they're going to need it. Like you said, Boone can't wait to get into that bullpen. And sometimes you got to ask yourself why. They're starters for a reason. They are starters for an absolute reason. 3 innings is not a quality start, although it may seem that way these years.
Right, but the Yankees have gotten better than that. I mean, Rodon, he's only made 2 starts, 1 good and 1 bad in Colorado. I'm going to throw out the Colorado series. That's another thing. When evaluating the Yankees here, and people want to say they come out of the gate slow, Colorado's a wacky place to play. Watching the Mets play there for years in the National League, it's just wacky. So I'm not putting much stock in what Rodon did or really any of their pitching for that matter, the bullpen as well. But the Yankees starters, and thank you for the call, the Yankees starters have been fine. Cole, and now getting Rodon back into the mix, we'll see what he could do. Herman, maybe a little inconsistent, but overall I think he's been good. Severino's been an issue. Severino's been one of the main problems. Now, again, last time out wasn't bad. Clark Schmidt been pretty good. When they've needed to call up on the young guys, they've gotten good production from those guys. And the bullpen, it's not that they're having bullpen games, but the bullpen has been heavily used, but it's been effective to the tune of the best bullpen in baseball. if not right now, the majority of the year. Which is why I like this team going into the postseason more than I have in years past. They're in better shape right now than they've been. Plus, the offense, it's not like the offense has been carrying this Yankee team in the regular season and then fades away in the postseason, like we've seen almost every single year since 2017. Rake in the regular season, flail in the postseason. This year, there's basically nowhere to go but up. Rich is calling from South Jersey. What's up, Rich?
Sal, you're a nice, enthusiastic guy, and I like you. But I differ with you. The Yankees are an average team. With one good ball player, I compare him to the Mets. You're telling me about LeMahieu?
Yeah.
And a couple of the other ball players?
Well, Rizzo and Stanton.
shot.
I mean, if you think Rizzo and Stanton and LeMahieu are all shot, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And now, even with that, I still believe the Yankees will be a playoff team. But big picture.
Now, you like to talk, but let me talk. I got 1 minute. You got the whole show for a few hours.
Yeah, but you got to remember something, Rich. I'll let you talk.
Yeah.
I'm in control of things here. So I'll let you talk. We're having a conversation. But what I'm saying is that Rizzo, Stanton, and LeMahieu, all three of those guys have severely underperformed. I have to think at least one of them will pick it up at some point the rest of the way. Combined with Judge coming back and the upgrades the Yankees make, that's where I'm saying the offense will be okay. Now go ahead.
As will McNeil, Alonso.
No, I'm
Lindor.
not talking about the Mets. And the Mets stink.
I'm telling you, but it's the same thing.
No, it's
And
not.
also-
No, it's not.
also
Rich, what's the Mets record? And I'm not going to hang up on you. What's the Mets record?
They're out of it.
Okay,
So are
they're
the
out of
Yankees.
it. They're
But
out
so
of
are
it.
the Yankees.
No, they're not.
So are the
No,
Yankees.
not quite the opposite. Now I'm going to hang up on you.
Mathematically.
No.
Not mathematically.
No,
just
Rich,
by-
look, Rich, the difference
They
is
got a struggling shortstop,
Who?
a young shortstop.
Okay, yeah, but why are you bringing up the
Volpe.
Mets? That's your problem. The Mets
I'm
actually
talking
stink.
about Volpe.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
talking about
no,
Volpe.
but you started talking about McNeil and other. I don't know why you're bringing the Mets into the conversation.
Because that's what Met fans were saying.
But the Mets are
how could
dead. They stink. And thanks for the call, Rich. Now I got to hang up on you. The Mets are. You brought the Mets up. They stink. Look, Volpe's had some learning curve here. It's his rookie season. There have been some great signs, and I love Volpe, and I think he's going to be a difference maker in the postseason. Now, he got hot, and you were hoping that the worst was behind him, but he's cooled back off again. These things happen with rookies. But it wasn't like the Yankees came into the year relying on Volpe to be a difference maker. Quite the opposite. They've needed more from him because of everything that's gone on in their lineup with guys like Stanton, Rizzo, LeMahieu, Donaldson, all these guys flopping. Judge being out, obviously. Bader missing significant time. But you can't compare him to the Mets, who are a bad team. Mets have won 2 straight. They're still 6 games under. They're 17 and a half games back of the team that they were supposed to be neck and neck with all year long. You see the difference? Yankees, you want to say the division's over because the Rays are so good? They're still only 9 back. Yeah, it sounds like a lot. It's still doable. Maybe not likely, but still doable. And the wild card, they're right there. That's the difference. Yankee fans act like their team is bad. They're not. The Mets are bad. The Yankees are bad compared to maybe last year's team or compared to teams in the past. They're playing poorly right now. But it's also a product of who's not here, mainly Judge, but what they've had to deal with throughout the year. And their division, they're in the best division in baseball. Now, is that an excuse? The Yankees should be the gold standard, right? Well, right now, they're in the toughest division in baseball. But their record right now, and I know right now it's not at their best, just 4 games over 500, but their 50 wins, I mean, if they were in any other division, outside of, with the Braves going nuts. But any other division, the Yankees aren't even close to last place. Matter of fact, they'd be in every other division. Like, even more in than just the 9 games back. Not to mention that they have to play these teams. But still, they will. Look, I was convinced when I saw the Yankees take on the Rays head on, even without Judge early on. And even watching them play the Orioles, what I've seen is improvement from Baltimore. And the Yankees aren't whole yet. They're not at their best, and they still are on par with Baltimore and with Tampa. Not in the standings, of course, But as far as head-to-head goes, they're right there with them. And even the Blue Jays, who were a team that's ahead of the Yankees by, 3.5 games, whatever it is in the standings, the Yankees are better than Toronto. I'm not buying into Toronto. Right now, the goal is get to the postseason. Well, actually, first the goal is get healthy, get the upgrades you need at the trade deadline, then get to the postseason and take your chances. And I still like their chances better than I do anybody else in the American League.